Big win.
Oh,
That game was a stomp.
the last one.
Yeah.
I mean, all three of them, kind of. If you
Yeah.
think about it. Game one, we were behind, but I gave the team confidence by saying the enemy team's North American. So we got back into the game.
Is that how you gave them
That's,
confidence?
that's what I was saying to our coaches, and it worked. So I'll
Oh
take
my
it.
god. Game two.
Game two, just a stomp.
Yeah, and game three also a stomp. What was the coach's reaction from FlyQuest side, from your guys' side of the Kled pick?
It's one of those ones. Like I knew APA at the start of his career was a Aurelion Sol Kled mid player,
Yeah.
probably inspired by Doinby around
The
that
chat's
time.
catched up now, so they can say hello.
Nice. Hello, everybody. So we knew he picked it.
Yeah.
The matchup, you figure he knows something, right? Like you figure it's some sort of fighter matchup where you're going to get trolled in the 1v1, but it actually was pretty straightforward matchup for the Yone. Basically, once Nuke came back, and Nuke played with Finn, right? Nuke Duck, our coach, played with Finn, so he knows Kled more than most people. That's because I thought it was going to end up being like Doran with Nunu, where it's like, how many times is like...
Do you know what this champ does?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if he wouldn't have known,
Yeah.
but thankfully Nuke spent the last like 30 seconds of Champ Select going over his like Kled notes from working with Finn, and that was helpful because like little nuances, like you probably know that if you have like the Kled Q on a Xayah and the Xayah ults, you still get tugged back.
Yeah, the pull.
And, like, little things
and
like
also
that.
like you follow through
I
on the
bet
ult and
Master
stuff.
doesn't know that. Why would he know that?
Yeah, so he was like, hey guys, everyone shut up.
Yeah.
Kled mechanics, let me run you through it.
This is my
Oh
moment.
my god. That's nice to have. What were your reactions on the draw yesterday then when you got TL? Happy or sad? Did you want an Eastern team or were you just happy getting top 8?
I think there's teams you want to avoid. Like we released our like video, and obviously BLG would be really tough. But
Yeah.
I think everyone else you have to believe you can win, and the draw was the worst possible case because it felt like a lose-lose. Like you lose, and then it's like they win the domestic rivalry at the end, kind of a sad ending. If you win, it's like almost like affirmative action spot in the quarters rather than like you earned it by beating a top contender. So I think it's spoiled. I mean, it was the worst possible draw, I think. I don't know if anyone ran the math, but it was probably the worst possible.
I mean, G2 BLG viewership-wise is great entertainment, but draw-wise it obviously was terrible for the West in general. I mean, you could have had a draw where all 3 Eastern teams played against 3 Western teams, which would have been like exciting in a way, but obviously could have been extremely disappointed if all of them just lose, right? It's just a horror. So what was your guys' like big turnaround? Because I mean, I watched a bit of the LCS, mostly playoffs, but you guys just looked like you were just one step behind Team Liquid all year. You win the finals, you win here, quite convincingly. Like, was there like a big change?
I think that timetables and like goals was something that we wrestled with from the start. When we put together a roster where our first 2 players were Masu and Busio, you know, a rookie and someone who under double lift like didn't get to develop too much, kind of was a follower, I guess, on 100 Thieves. All the rest of the 3 players were veterans who bought into playing with a rookie bot lane. And as you can imagine, spring scrims were a little bit int, right? Where, I don't know the matchup. 2v2 goes terribly, the game's boom from bot, but no one's raging at bot lane because they're still learning. And they obviously found their feet pretty fast. And spring season felt like it was building up to a title win. Didn't happen. You know, it was pretty bad loss in finals into MSI. There were a lot of issues. I don't know how much is public, but you know, obviously the Jensen-inspired interview into Jensen being removed was not in any way a reflection of just Jensen. It was like a team-wide issue, I would say. There was just some stuff going on that needed to be resolved in a productive way. And at the same time, Quad had been really impressing in NACL. He's a player who I always thought had the mechanical talent, but he came in super fresh. He didn't speak any English coming into the year. So the one thing that I felt pretty strongly about, that I think teams should think strongly about, is that if you have 2 rookies in the bot lane who have low matchup knowledge, I mean, how many teams run 2 rookies in the bot lane, right? It's usually 17-year-old ADC with 25-year-old support, not 2 rookies. If you then take a chance on like a person who doesn't speak English well in mid or another rookie in top and things go wrong, how do you isolate what the variable is that's going wrong, right? So we want to put all our dev resources into bot. Our mid laner developed a lot in NACL and his English came a long way. And then we just had this moment of, who are we going with in summer? And we felt that the bot lane had cemented themselves a lot to the point where it wouldn't be in to take on another rookie. You can't just run 5 rookies and win at the top level, and that's how it all went. And you're talking about summer season. I know I'm monologuing a bit, but I think in the background, we were making a lot of strides on how to integrate Quad into our team, while 1 best of 3 is happening, a 7-game season is happening. I think a lot of wins were happening in the background, and the losses on stage were hopefully just false variables to our true strength.
Yeah, Masu has impressed me a lot this Worlds. Like, he has grown into being a strong player. Like, his confidence and his team fighting and his positioning especially just looks like it's been getting better and better. Is he got rookie syndrome? I like to call it, where like he's new to internationals perhaps, or like he's a bit fresh off the, rookie world, so they get a bit nervous, or they maybe give a bit too much respect to nameplates. He looks like he's playing pretty confident.
I don't know if you ever watched interviews with him, but he always takes like 3 or 4 seconds to think before he first speaks, and that's how he is as a person. He always really takes in what's around him, takes in what his veterans are saying, and then reacts. And I think that's something that serves him really well. So spring season start, he's a 1-year academy player. Obviously, he's running it down, his hands are shaking and things like that. But by the end of spring, he was in a solid place. I think going to MSI and seeing a Western team MSI experience and a bit of a boom was also going to be like a productive thing for him to kind of, again, take it to the next level. And the thing about him in comms is the one thing he has to work on is he just really does not communicate a lot. I think you think of like the Eastern 80 carries, like a Gala, for example, who doesn't talk as well.
Just silent, yeah.
Also just silent to the point where, and Busio, tries to come for him, but especially in spring, there will be times where like they're flashing, like they're like splitting a fight and like flashing onto the back line, saying nothing, no comms, just like full engaging Zyricon on the back line. You're like, this can't be right.
Guys, say something.
Say something, but I mean, look, they're out playing with their hands, so at least their hands are there.
They
The
look
mouth,
good.
it needs some work.
Talk to me. The draw. What are you feeling? So you're the 3-2 seed, which means you can get not Hamalife, Genji or LNG straight away. Because there's the 3-2s will play the 3-0s, right? So it's a very high chance you get Genji or LNG. If you don't get Genji or LNG and the other 2 teams take the bullet, you get one of the 3-1 teams, which is T1, Hamalife, Top Esports. And I think, that's it.
I think we're happy.
Who would you want to avoid?
I mean, Genji is an easy one to avoid. I think that's a really tough stylistic matchup. I think if we're going to take a 3-0 team, I think LNG is like kind of shrouded in mystery. No one really knew what their roster was going to be or their power level. So I think they are a team that, and we just haven't seen data points from them for a while because they were a 3-0 team. I think we'd be happy there. I think T1 is stylistically difficult for us, but a fun matchup.
Very fun.
So you take it, right? But at the end of the day, we're the sole Western representative in the quarterfinals. We're the best of the West. We're carrying your hope, and it's going to be an uphill battle. So whatever it is going to be quite the experience in Paris.
I saw your tweet. Best team in the West.
Yep.
Oh, hang on, the draw started. I've got some beef with you after this.
Sounds good.
To be fair,
let's come back to the comment.
I think
my tweet.
that makes sense.
FlyQuest best team in the West.
Well,
that's got to be capped.
If TL would have made it, I feel like they
think
would have been
did you scrim G2?
FlyQuest actually had
They took
hard
the game off
opponents.
HLE. They played
Did it go well?
against,
We were about
Plus.
50% win
They
rate
did.
against G2, yeah.
They
Okay.
can-
And on that
they can
note, I'm
take
ending
game off
this.
Genji.
There we go.
But what does
That's what
Scrims
I-
mean?
That's the spirit.
Well, that's the only metric we
That's
have.
the spirit.
So
At least
if
you
you
have a
remember when
teammate
100 Thieves
quarters,
was like
okay?
tweeting,
Yeah, shocked.
there was a time where
Let's
G2
go.
tweeted at
Let's
them and then they
go.
were like leaked the
All right,
scrims.
anyways.
I actually think
what do we
G2
think? Can we get
maybe
the
for a
bracket up
week
the full
period was
bracket?
like
Because I do
losing
want
a
to
lot
talk
of
about this.
scrims.
Yeah,
like
Cap
how
said they
it
were
falls
struggling
out
today.
in terms of how
So I
we're
think
going to
that
get the
that's
best League of
probably
Legends, basically.
Pretty good.
I don't take too much on that.
Yeah.
So I think ultimately the tweet goes out and it's factual rather than it's with like my humor, right? Like this, I understand what I'm putting out there. Factually, we are the best Western team at Worlds 2024. That's how it's going to be remembered in the history books. A lot of nuance.
Yeah.
I think G2
It's true.
showed a lot, but at
Yeah.
the end of the day, like I think we showed a lot too, and I think we had the poise to win today. I think today's series against TL, if we just repeat that against Genji, we are not going to go very far. Like our early games were very, very poor in game 1 and 2, but you know how it is when you have these like team kill matches and elimination matches early in Worlds.
Yeah.
They usually have their own meta.
Yeah.
And this was very much like, well, we know they can't play Yone. They know that we have certain picks we prefer. Like this was very much here's a strategy that will beat Team Liquid rather than a strategy that's going to get us far at Worlds. So I think today was a one-day meta. Now the coaches get to go and work out, okay, what are the weak links in Genji? So Caedrel, if you got any notes, DM them to me. I'll pass them to Nuke PapaSmithy.
You fucking cook your best dish ever. You get your Michelin stars and picks ready. That's all.
Okay. Any suggestions? Like, give me a role and a champ that you think works. It's not intuitive. Like, because people can say X jungler, but like, how much are we cooking here?
How do you beat Genji?
Yeah.
I don't know. Their map movements are their best. I think a winning bot matchup against Genji helps a lot. I think you cannot counter top. Keen has such a big champ pool.
Oh yeah.
And Canyon also has such a big champ pool that I think the only real place, like if you give pace Kalista, it's over, in my head. So I feel like a winning bot matchup is what I would say is the best metric to beat Genji.
I think the best way to beat Genji in the scenario we're in is winning game 1, which sounds like a pretty obvious thing. But in a stadium, after we've kind of all been chilling in the LEC studio for like, I think the boys, I came a week later, but I think the boys have been here like literally a calendar month, like 30 days
Yeah.
since they started scrimming. Jumping to Paris, big stage, it's going to be a big crowd, winning game one. I think that's obviously the
True.
way where they're like, wait, we can lose.
You guys didn't scrim any LCKPL teams. Now you're kind of fucked, no? There's only LCKPL teams.
That was actually overstated. So we actually scrimmed T1 very early in the boot camp, and
Yeah.
then the interview with Rich came out, and we actually scrimmed an Asian team the next day. So
Okay.
it sounded very intentional. Obviously, you know that there weren't Asian teams to scrim for the majority of the start of our boot camp, and then did we get priority from the Asian teams? No, so we didn't really. It's not like we were rejecting scrim blocks against strong teams. I think there's always the worries of like scrim metas or
Scrim
picks
bubbles.
or things getting leaked and things like that. So I know there's always some thoughts to it, but no, it's been a fascinating world. You know, I think G2's body of work was really impressive. So you look at Swiss, like I was mentioning, and you're like, now the format is the villain. I still prefer it more than the double round robin best of one groups. Like I'm sad those are the two options.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, what happens there? I start to wonder. I don't know if you have leaks. I don't. But like, is the like Amazon World Rankings? You know, is that going to be somehow seeding things in a year's time
Maybe.
when it comes to Swiss?
That's what they do in CS. Oh, it's been a long day. But when are you going to Paris? Tomorrow? Tuesday?
Yeah, I think they kick us out tomorrow, so we just all migrate there. You know, are you staying here? You come to Paris? What are you doing?
No. I'm going to go to London and then stream from London for a bit.
Makes
and
sense.
Then, yeah.
Visit family and friends kind of vibe.
Yeah, stay at home. It's my new home now, London, so that's where I'm at. But the studio was fun. Thanks for joining the interview.
Always, always.
sorry
Any
that-
other kind of thoughts or longer-term narratives I can like shine the inside light to?
Is there anything you want to say? Is there any narratives you want to change that about FlyQuest or about NA that you are like strongly see and you're like, the fuck are they on about? Or, you know.
I mean, obviously coming into summer, it was rough when everyone was really focused on the Jensen story and kind of like have a lot of presumptions that it was a bad change or an emotional change when if you make a roster change based on how you think people will think about it, you're fucking up already, right? Like you have to really lay out all the information and kind of make a reasoned choice that will elevate your ceiling, which I don't need to explain that now. Obviously, we won the split. Now we're making top 8 at Worlds, top 4. That's pending.
You never know.
That's going to be hard. So I think the boys did their talking and then took their lumps from their talking. The Inspired interview, obviously, being a big one. MSI was a disaster. And then I much prefer when you do the talking on the Rift, which was what summer represented for us. And now I feel great that we have an org rivalry of Team Liquid and FlyQuest as like kind of like the entrenched top 2 in North America. I saw a stat that I believe this means we played something like 26
games, yep.
which means it's like the second most of all time between two teams in a year, which in a region where we play like 2 round robin best of 1 into single round robin best of 3, that means we had a lot of banger matchups. So I think that's a great matchup. I have a lot of respect for Steve, you know, my counterpart on the other side. And I think we're going to keep grinding. I think something that was lost, I think today was the youngest team at Worlds versus the oldest team at Worlds. So
Really? Oh.
yeah, we were joint lowest age roster in entire Worlds, which I think people miss that. You know, Bwipo is a very old 25, if you know what I mean, in terms of like he's just been around and notable for so long you assume he's older than he is. And then Inspired is like definitely the 22-year-old leader that people kind of lose his age
It's
on.
13-13 FlyQuest TL.
There you go. I mean, that tells you that we're doing something right on both sides.
All right, we got to wrap.
Sounds good.
The studio light's coming on and we're going to get kicked out. So thanks so much for joining.
Pleasure.
Chat, spam the hearts. They're going to be a little bit late spamming the hearts because of the delay. But bro, thank you so much.
As you know, I'm always a member with the Rats too.
I know. I see you in the chat. I think you're
still
VIP.
owe me beers, bro.
I do owe you beers.
Gonna have to work that out.
You're going to have to make it to London.
All right, Nuke, Smithy, make it happen.
Make it happen.
Make it happen.